Welcome in, guys, to kick off the tip-off. Noah running another West Virginia football video, and let's waste no time, man. Let's get right into what we are going to call buy or hold. It's as simple as that. We're both going to shoot a couple takes, and you're simply going to tell me if you're buying it or you're holding off a year. So just, for the viewers here, a simple little kind of overview of it. If I told you Nicco will throw for 1 yard this upcoming season, you would buy it. If I said Nicco is going to throw for 10,000 yards this next season, probably hold off on that for at least, another 100 million years. So, no, man, let's jump right into it. I got three. You got three. The first one I'm going to present to you. West Virginia football will make a New Year's Six bowl game. Not just a Pop-Tart bowl, not just your local insurance bowl where you'll see us play some in Memphis like we did last year. I'm talking big boy football. You have something to look forward to on New Year's Day. Are you buying or are you holding off on that idea after year one of Rich Rodriguez?
Gage, I have mixed feelings about this, but I'm definitely going to put a hold on this. Reason being is it takes a lot to build a football program back up from what we just came from with Neil Brown. I trust Rich Rod. I know he's going to bring in talent. He's a great talent evaluator. But as of right now, where we're sitting at the season, I'd love for West Virginia to win 8-9 games. And I'm kind of putting the New York Six Bowl on a hold because, hey, we're gonna be better than we were. But at the same time, I don't know if we're going to be at that level, to get into that New York Six Bowl. You're talking 1 or 2 losses at max to get into that New York Six Bowl, especially coming from the Big 12.
You're pushing it. I mean, you just saw the model from Kenny Dillingham and Arizona State this past year. They kind of laid out the foundation for really what West Virginia is looking at this upcoming season, Noah. Let's be honest. And this is way past the ceiling, in my opinion, year one. We're really high on what Rich Rod can do, and the team in general think there's a ton of talent everywhere. But you also have to think of the idea of, nobody really saw Arizona State doing what they did this last year. And had some people, I read some comments and stuff. There's two sides of, yes, it may take some time to build this thing up, or we could be in for a surprise, because I guarantee you that Arizona State fans were not expecting to be competing in a college football playoff game year one versus Texas in a double overtime game or whatever it was. So it's definitely not out of the realm. You say hold. I kind of present the idea. I'm kind of 50-50 on it. Like I just said, I could buy it. I could hold it. I would probably lean a little bit towards your hold, so we'll stamp that one as a hold. So, Noah, shoot your first take, man, and let's hear what we got.
So the first take in the buy or hold segment we're going to go with here is West Virginia will beat Pitt by 14 plus on September 13th this upcoming year. Gage, how do you feel about that?
A hot topic right now, considering our beloved Beanie Bishop did something very awesome here recently, wiping the logo. And no, before I even jump into this, it's funny because junior college baseball program that I come from, we had a rug right in the middle of the clubhouse, and it had the logo on it. And a firm rule right in the clubhouse was you could not walk on that logo. If you got caught walking on that logo, you did not want to find out what was going to happen. So for me to see Beanie Bishop literally wipe his feet on the logo is awesome. I mean, it's literally that itself is just, it speaks volumes of how we feel about Pitt. And to answer your question, I am buying the hell out of this stock. I don't know where the hell I need to invest in it. I don't know how much money I currently own in my name, but I'm pulling it out of the stock or whatever and putting it right there. Because, listen, we talk about even when this rivalry first came back, right? I think the first one was the JT Daniels game, correct? I could be wrong.
There might have been one before that, but no, I think you're right, because I think JT Daniels might have been the first one.
And they've got us, right? They've got us. And it's now to a point where it's like, if we have this won't happen, but if we have a season where it's one win and every other game is a loss, but we beat Pitt, it's kind of a successful season, I'll be honest. Like we're almost at that point. That's not going to happen, obviously. But yes, no, to answer your question, I'm buying the hell of this stock. Everybody knows the dates. Everybody knows how everything has lined up perfectly for this Rich Rod return to this team. And I have to imagine, man, that when that date gets closer to time, home game, I believe it was announced as a 3:30 kickoff, which is kind of absurd to me. That should have been the night game. I have zero doubts in my mind that
Morgantown couldn't have handled a night game, Gage. Morgantown couldn't have handled it.
No. Rich Rod, we're going to see some young Rich Rod at that game, if that makes sense.
Yes.
I'm talking some fire that he hasn't even shown in a long time. 14 might be generous, Noah. I'm being dead serious. 14 points might be generous, because if he has the chance and things are shooting the right way, he will push that score up as heavy as he can.
Oh yeah, Gage. I know when the books come out with their take, I think they'll probably have a 3 to 7 point game plus or minus in West Virginia's favor. I'll hammer West Virginia either way, whichever that spread goes, because it will be pure domination on the West Virginia sideline. I mean, he's had how many years since he left for Michigan after that Pitt game, and he's just been thinking about it, and it's coming like to fruition right now, right in front of our eyes. He will put everything out. It won't be a field goal game. It won't be anything like that. He's going to hang it on him. So I'm definitely buying that stock myself.
And if it is a field goal game, I wonder if he'll call up McAfee to come back and get his finally relieve some pressure off of him. But no, actually, you brought up a good point, and I do want to share this with viewers and new people that have subscribed and watching and stuff like that. Our current win total on a lot of sports books, for those that do like to gamble a little bit, you and I, we of course like to dabble a little bit in that. We've talked about time and time before, the win total for this team is sitting at 5.5, I believe, or is it 6.5?
It's 5.5. It's 5.5.
5.5, which is absurd. And I believe it's now up to like plus 140. But you and I are both in an agreement, and I'm going to try to explain this the best way possible to fans. You are almost better off saving, if you were going to put, say $100 on it, right? That means that Vegas at some point in this season is going to have us underdogs in games where we think they're going to win, right? We have them penciled in as 8, 9, possibly a 10-win team. Who knows? So I think you find value betting on this team throughout the season, and you kind of just stay away from that future bet, just because you never know, injury stuff like that in the upcoming season. So you brought up a great point. That was something I definitely wanted to share. And transitioning, Noah, to my second take, we'll hop into, you and I got a couple personal player goals for this upcoming season that we'll see if we're buying or holding on this. And the first one that I'm going to shoot out at you, Cam Vaughn, the talented receiver that we bring over from Jacksonville State, played in Rich Rod's system this past year, had a roughly around 800 receiving yards this past year. I think Cam Vaughn goes for 1,000 receiving yards this upcoming season as the X receiver in this offense. You buying or holding?
I would buy that, Gage. And the reason being, we hit on this in another video with just why West Virginia's offense is going to be more successful. It's our last video if you guys want to go watch that one. Cam Vaughn has the big playmaking ability, right? So if we're lulling these guys to sleep with run, it will be nothing for him to catch, 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 60-yard plus passes course of the season over multiple games, right? So he has that big playmaking ability. We obviously know, if you just know math, if you have 2 or 3 games with, 80, 90, 100 yards, you're on track to hit that, 1,000-yard goal. I think with him, and even being, not saying that Huff was a bad quarterback, but saying Nicco, a power 4 quarterback, has the ability to lay that ball out for him a little bit more. And Rich Rod, he's going to let it hang sometimes where you're kind of thinking, okay, we're going to no, he's taking shots. He's going to take shots when he needs to, because he knows, Rich Rod understands Morgantown, right? When he's in these games and he's in these situations, sometimes what you need is that, Mountaineer fan base to get behind that big play that happens. So Rich Rod's really going to let it happen. I think Cam Vaughn's going to be that, electric piece on the side of, okay, go get the ball. Go get it. I'm going to throw it up there. Go get it.
Yeah, and we kind of talked about this offense will kind of be built upon big playability, right? There will definitely be times in games where it's a grinded out type of day on the offensive side of the ball, but more times than not throughout games this year, we will see the big playability shine, and something that we've lacked in previous years, and that'll kind of be the difference maker. And that's not all going to happen on the ground, right? You're going to get some production here through the pass game, and it'll be interesting to see what Rich Rod kind of schemes up and uses with Nicco, who, yeah, you and I, both fans of Tyler Huff, won us a bunch of money last year betting on Jacksonville State. But I would say that he is a little bit better of a passer. I'm definitely not sitting here shitting on Tyler Huff. He's a great quarterback. But, yeah, I would say Nicco's a better passer. So I think Cam Vaughn is a buy for me as well at 1,000 receiving yards. Obviously my take, so I'm supporting it, backing it. So both buyers on that, Noah. So let's talk about – I know you got one coming up here. Let's discuss.
All right, so rolling into my second buy or hold take here. Jaheim White, Big 12 rushing leader and top 10 in the country in rushing yards this upcoming season, Gage. Are you buying that? You holding it?
Wow. You know, for a guy for a guy who's yet to surpass 1,000 rushing yards in his college career, it's very hard to sit here and comfortably be like, yes, I'm going to buy it. But the unique situation of the talent, the type of talent that Jaheim White is, with the system and offense that is going to be based really and utilized around him, makes this a borderline buy, Noah. And here's my thing. I think I'm going to hold, and it's strictly for this reason. I believe in the first part. I think that he has a really good chance of leading the Big 12 in rushing yards. That I do buy. National is where I kind of struggle to buy because I wonder how much this running game is divided up, right? We know Nicco or Henderson, whoever's quarterback, is going to have some designed rushing plays. We know Knighton from SMU and Miami, where he was at. We know he's going to get some touches. We've talked about Ty Edwards before. Where does he factor in? So I think I'm going to hold on this. I would buy your first part. I love him in the Big 12. I think he's the best running back in the Big 12. I firmly believe that. But I am going to hold on your entire take just because I think that we kind of get it done rushing the ball a couple of different ways on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, that's very I can see where you come with that because, like you said, if you're gonna feed three heads in the backfield between Edwards, Knighton, and Jaheim, yeah, you could see Jaheim, go for over 1,200 yards this season. But at the same time, if these other guys, have successful games and Rich Rod's just handing them the ball off because they're hot, that could leave Jaheim a couple, one or two games in the season where, hey, these other guys are getting the rock.
Yeah. And a lot of this will factor in too. Noah, you think of the games versus Robert Morris, Ohio. Not Ohio by no means a pushover game, but we saw time and time again, not only West Virginia, but college teams in general, specifically some SEC teams. Jackson Dart this past season, a lot of his numbers come from those games where it's like they're playing who? Houston, Christian, something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's a topic for another day. I think college football needs to transition away from those type of teams playing that. I hate it. Whatever. We'll talk about it another day. But yeah, no, I'm going to hold on that and kind of for good reason, like you said. And speaking of the rush, right? My third and final topic I'll present to you. What I just talked about, we know that the quarterback is going to get involved in the rushing game. And I think that this number kind of fluctuates on who wins the starting quarterback job. If it's Nicco, maybe the rushing line is a little bit lower. Maybe it's higher. I don't know. If it's Henderson, I definitely think that this number is a little bit higher. I have Nicco or Jalen Henderson rushing for 850 yards and 8 or more touchdowns in this upcoming season. Buying or holding?
I'm man, 8 touchdown. I'm gonna buy that, Gage, and here's the reason. If you look back at what Tyler Huff was able to do at Jacksonville State, and I think Tyler Huff was a very, very prolific runner in the sense that he was willing to go and run the football. I'm gonna buy it because I think Nicco and or Jalen are just as athletic and if more athletic than
More
Tyler
maybe.
was and they're going to be able to be put in a situation where they have to run the football because that's part of Rich Rod's offense. So he actually, I think Tyler Huff was at 1,200 yards he ran for last year, Gage.
1,300.
So
1,300.
so he ran for 1,300. So looking at Nicco and or Jalen, if they're able to just have a pretty successful season rushing the football, we're looking at him surpassing 850 yards. Maybe within the 10th game of the year. Not saying that's definitely going to happen, but it's possible. And then you look at the 8 touchdown part. If Jaheim, Ty Edwards, I think Ty Edwards would be more of my goal line back because he's a bigger back. If these guys are able to really make these DNs crash hard, you're going to see Jalen and or Nicco walk into the end zone multiple times this year, as we saw Garrett Green last year. Walk into the end zone sometimes because they're so keyed on Donaldson trying to get to the ball. So I really really think that is a big possibility. So I'm going to buy that take there, Gage.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think the way similar to your Jaheim White, your second take there, it's just kind of designed for these guys to have success. And I think this number I think a better way now that I'm thinking about it would be a combined number, just because who knows? I think you and I are kind of in agreement. The first 2 weeks, maybe, unless a guy really separates himself, we could be seeing both of these guys in and out until one finally declares himself as QB1. And as we kind of build up closer to the season, we'll be able to get a better feel for things like that. But regardless of who the quarterback is, you touched on it pretty good. You got to be a willing runner in this offense to have success. This offense doesn't work if you're not a willing rusher at the quarterback position. Somebody who's going to lower the shoulder and really run sometimes like a madman, like a true running back. This isn't NFL style where we're going to see you're going to see your quarterback in this offensive system sliding down or things like that. They're, for the most part, lowering the shoulder and picking up the extra 4 or 5 yards. So yeah, I would buy this as well. Obviously, buying all my takes and you vice versa. That's why it's so fun. But no, I think I got a pretty good feeling that I'll be investing some more stock in your third and final take.
So my third and final take of the event is Zach Alley will have West Virginia's ranked in the top three of the Big 12 by the end of the season. I just think Zach Alley and his scheme and what he's going to bring to the Big 12 that's going to kind of be different will allow West Virginia to get some takeaways, turnovers in general. And three, you might have Rich Rod is very, very good when he keeps the defense on the field. So if Zach Alley's able to be successful on the defensive side and the offense gets back on the field, the other team's defense staying on the field a lot, that will lead to success for our offense. So I think that's a game plan.
You said it best, and I'll try to kind of piggyback you and explain it here. I'm going to buy this because if we're expecting the success that we have on offense, you see how these run-heavy teams benefit the defense so much. It's hard to give up points, give up yards when your defensive unit is not even on the field. When you're having drives that are I don't say 8, that's a little steep, but 6 to 8 minute drives, and sometimes pushing maybe 8 minutes, 30 seconds, 9 minutes, a whole quarter. Those are not only drive killers and just game killers for the other team. It throws them so out of the loop on the offense because there's no consistency on that side. Yeah. And, to kind of explain defense top three statistically, you would be looking at like yards allowed, takeaways, and then your individual stats of like interceptions and sacks, team accumulated, I guess is the word I'm trying to say. So from that aspect of it, look at the playmakers that have came in on the defensive side of the ball. And that's an area in the portal where we addressed heavily, right? And I mentioned I believe it was the top 10 players that break out or one of those videos where a majority of our defensive production this upcoming season is going to be from the mid-major guys, I think. Jamori Robinson, UTSA, Fred Perry, Jacksonville State, Derek Carter, Jacksonville State, Michael Coates, Nevada. It's not going – and believe me, I hope I'm wrong. I hope that everybody that steps foot on the field produces. But I think those are going to kind of be the key guys that Zach Alley leans on to be like, let's go, man. Like, we need a big-time play right here. We need Jamor to get off the edge. A guy that Paul introduced you and I to, Ben Bogle, he looks like a stud at linebacker, maybe getting off the edge or filling gaps in the middle. So it's like, I think there's playmakers on this defense like we haven't saw in the past couple of years.
Yeah, I think that's what you're looking at is Zach Alley being successful at what he does and Rich Rod being successful at what he does. When you bring those together, it's going to make, kind of like a recipe for success in the sense that if Zach Alley can keep his defense off the field and Rich Rod can keep his offense on the field, you're going to look at numbers that aren't skewed, I don't want to say, but they're going to look very, very good because the time of possession, those type of things are going to go in West Virginia's favor.
Yeah, absolutely. And something that we'll dive into just future video, right? We already kind of talked about it. Similar to the Rich Rod offensive schemes that we're going to be seeing. You and I have been kind of diving into a little bit of tape, watching a little bit of what we're going to expect from Zach Alley. So once we get a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more familiar with what we think we're going to see, we will definitely get fans kind of introduced to his style and system. And we keep saying it, man. He's a young, innovative defensive mind to me and kind of NFL junkies. He reminds me a lot of Mike McDonald, current guy for the Seahawks, in a world full of hotshot offensive coordinators and offensive minds. Here comes this young stud defensive minded guy who this guy held what team to 14 points? This guy held this team to 18 or 17. Like, I think if he can get to that status as a defensive coordinator, we said hopefully that things work out. He's our next head coach, but for his sake, I'm hoping that he can use this. I hate saying this, but if he has success, Noah, he's not going to have a hard time finding another job, and we would support him full heartedly just because of the type of mind that he is. And these young guys, man, they what was the offensive coordinator's name that we had during the JT Daniels era, the first year?
From Purdue, the guy from Purdue.
From Purdue, I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
We saw. The point I'm getting at is right. I think we see more times than not with these young coordinator guys, offensive guys seem to fail a little bit more than defensive. I don't know if you've kind of noticed that trend or not. Kind of the trickle down in the NFL, and I've saw it even in college, specifically at that mid-major level, where you'll see some younger guys who maybe get a little bit of steam and get a big coaching position, and then their offense just kind of flops because these defensive coordinators have kind of maybe saw this before or just have better game plans. So what are your thoughts on that? You think Zach Alley obviously has a way better chance to succeed than a young offensive coordinator?
Yeah, and I think that's like a tale as old of times. Like defense travels, right? So if you're a team that's based on defense, right, and that's your thing, it's on offense, there's so many moving factors that have to be intact to, be successful, right? Defense the same way, but at the same time, if you have a premier edge rusher or you have a premier linebacker, these guys can completely shut down the offensive game plan that's coming your way. So I think, if you have a good scheme that can scheme guys for open rushes or scheme guys where, we're in zone coverage, those type of things, it's easier to be successful as a defensive head coach as it is to be an offensive minded guy. And that's, even if you look at it, Gage, that's where the you got to give all the flowers to Rich Rod because he's been an offensive mind and he's had a very long career here at, in college football.
Yeah. Well said, my friend. And this will be one of our kind of shorter videos. We're right around 20 minutes, but yeah, a couple, three buy or holds. And we kind of want you guys to be really engaged in this and kind of list some that you would buy or some that you would hold off on. And that's kind of the beauty of it. Everybody has a different opinion of everything. And Noah, of course, before we kind of wrap things up, we tell everybody, please hit the subscribe button. It helps us a ton. I know it seems like we're begging, but it really does help us. And we're just hoping to kind of get a feel for what sort of content you guys like, right? So hit that like button if you like sort of these video ideas. And
hitting on that, Gage, we've really appreciated the comments that everybody's left on our past couple videos. Just being able to have discussions with the fans and people that are tuning into the show, what they think about West Virginia football coming this season, and what are the questions, what do they think are going to be strong suits. We really appreciate being able to have a conversation with a viewer.
Absolutely, man. We're just two friends who've been talking, West Virginia, just sports in general like this for a long time. We just decided to cut the camera on and start recording us talking. So a crazy idea, but yeah, I mean, it's definitely open. We don't necessarily think we have a greater, we really know just as much as you guys. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah.
We like to cut it on here and talk some ball. That's what we enjoy doing. So Noah, your question of the day that I was thinking of, once again, on topic, we won't go off topic. Maybe next video I'll give you an off topic. This is purely just random. Rank these three wide receivers. Are you ready? In order from talent. Stedman Bailey, Kevin White, Gary Jennings. Underrated time at West Virginia.
Oh my gosh.
Don't let nostalgia kill you, because I absolutely love Stedman Bailey. But seriously, think about this. And Kevin, of course, Kevin in there too makes it really tough because his time, he's top 10 pick.
Yeah, and that's where I'm thinking at. I'm going to go I want viewers to know I'm going to base this off time at West Virginia compared to like physical attributes or what they could have been, right? So I'm going to go ahead and go Stedman in the one spot, Gage. And reason being, this was can't even say the award. Is it Blittenkoff? Award winner
yes.
That got stole from him. If you look at the numbers from this guy, I mean, look at the Baylor game itself with Stedman, and obviously Stedman did have Geno throwing him the football, right? So Geno is an NFL quarterback. We see it every Sunday. He's out there doing his thing, putting on for the Mounties, and we love that, right? So I'm going to put Stedman at one just because the success he had here at West Virginia. Now here's where we're going to go into number two. Gary Jennings is my number two receiver in this list here, right? Because he was consistent. A consistent guy. He always got open. He caught passes. He did what he was supposed to do, right? Kevin White, who's this is a very hard list because the fact that I'm putting Kevin White at
There,
3.
and, listen, yeah, there's no wrong answer. It's like these three guys are probably like borderline top 5 to 8 wide receivers all time for the Mountaineers. So it's
Yes,
like
especially in our
putting
time
him at
frame.
3. Yeah,
You know, they're
putting him
going
at
guys
3 isn't
before,
a.
but
It's not a shot in the. It's
yeah,
not a shot in
Kevin
the foot.
White was phenomenal. I don't know if you guys, I mean, I keep on thinking of the first game I watched Kevin White. He came from a JUCO, I believe, and I watched him for the first game, and he goes up in the back corner of the end zone. The guy that jumps with him is 6 feet under him, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what do we have here? So Kevin White was also another phenomenal receiver, but I think what helped Kevin White compared to these other guys was his physical attributes and how big, how strong he was. We watched him get drafted in the NFL, so he was an NFL type player. Playing against college kids at that age. So I'm just going to go with just based off what they were able to do at West Virginia. That's my list. Really tough list there. Actually, that was good names to throw out there, Gage.
Yeah, it was good names, and I'm pretty similar. Stedman was my 1. I would flip flop with you. I like Kevin there in the 2 spot and Gary Jennings 3. But once again, no shot to anybody. They're all awesome in their own ways. And one thing about Gary Jennings that was pretty perfect for WVU football. I think him and David Sills complemented each
Yes.
other so perfectly. It was that era of football. Dana Harrison, obviously, that was an awesome time. And I hate to sit here and reminisce on a video where we're hyping up the upcoming season, but man, it's good to look back on some of those times. And of course, we'll be right here all the time. So, hey, man, as always, we appreciate you guys watching, listening, like, comment, share. We'll be back at it, man. We're really loving what we're doing, and we appreciate you guys kind of tuning in. So we'll see y'all in the next one. Noah, send us out, man.
Yes, sir. We appreciate you guys. Like, comment, subscribe. See you next time.
Let's go.